This tutorial assumes you've already downloaded Python as explained in the first tutorial in the assignment 1 folder. In this tutorial we're just going to show you a feature of Python that will allow you to create a program in Python and test it, see if it works correctly, make changes to it if you want, and save it so that you can re-edit it or make additional changes to it later. So I'm on a Windows 7 machine here, and I took the standard installation with all the defaults for Python. So Python is in this folder 3.3. If I open the folder and click on idle, idle is the integrated development environment that I showed you briefly in the first tutorial. We'll get that running. So what we want to do now is create a file with Python source code in it. To do that within idle, I'm going to click the file menu and new window. And in this new window you see on the screen now, you're going to enter, well I'm going to enter in this case, Python code. At some point we're going to need to save this code with a name. Right now you can see it's untitled. But I'm going to, just as an example, do programming exercise 3 on page 77 of chapter 2 called land calculation. And in this program, which you don't really have to understand at this point, that is the Python code, we're going to get a size of a tract of land in square feet from somebody, typing it in on a keyboard, and we're going to convert it to acres. So the first thing we want to do, and I want to make a few changes to this program to show you some of the features of idle, is we're going to ask the user to enter the size of the land, the tract, in square feet. And so enter the, see if I can get this thing right, enter the number of square feet, let's say in the tract. It's more like a lot or a plot of land. I think you'd probably build 1 or 2 houses on, but anyway. And also then we want to do the conversion. So we're going to convert it from square feet to acres. And again, I'm doing a little stuff here that's all explained in chapter 2, which we're going to get to in a few weeks. But the purpose of this little tutorial is not to explain how this program works so much, just to introduce you to these features in Python you're going to find useful. So and I'm going to do something hokey here and then change it, but there are 43,560 square feet in 1 acre of land. So we're basically dividing the tract size in square feet by 43,560 square feet per acre to get the number of acres. Now, the first thing we need to do here, or should do here, is to save this file, because right now it doesn't have a title. So I'm going to save it to my desktop and make sure it goes to the desktop. All Python source code needs to have an extension of .py or .py. That tells the Python programming environment that this is a file that contains Python code. Okay, so I'm going to call it example. I have an example 1, so I'll call it example 2. Not the most descriptive file name, but again, important. It has to have a period or .py extension. Okay, so we're going to save that. Now, another feature, there it is. Another feature that I think I might have mentioned last time, I honestly don't remember, is from the run menu, we can actually execute this program, run the program, see if it works correctly, but we can also check it before we run it to see if it has any syntax errors. Syntax errors are kind of like grammatical errors that define the rules of a correctly formatted programming statement in a particular language. We also have semantic rules, but you'll get into that in a later course. Anyway, I want to check the module to see if I made any mistakes. If I made any mistakes, the Python interpreter would have given me error messages here, and it did not, which means, at least in terms of following the syntax of the language, it's correct. So we want to run this. So if I go up to the run menu, click run module, or could have pressed function key 5, of course, it's going to run. And the first thing it does when the Python interpreter interprets this line of code, this input line of code, that's a function in Python, pre-written code, you see enter, that's a new name. Enter the number of square feet. It has a Lisp. So I'm going to enter a number like, say, 55,900, okay, square feet. Then I'm going to press enter, and the program read the code and did the conversion to acres. But how do we know that? Okay, it would be nice if we could display the conversion from square feet to acres. From the shell, which is where we are right now, there's the shell prompt, there's my blinking cursor. If I typed in acres, which is the name of this variable, and press enter, it gives me the conversion. That's an unformatted floating point number, a real number with a decimal point. We could reduce the number of significant digits after the decimal point using format specification in Python, which is introduced to you in chapter 2, but for now it's fine. But let's go ahead and modify this program. There's a couple of things we could do. One, I would really like this program to print, display on the screen, acres. Okay? So there's a way to do this. We can just modify this line of code, actually, if we want. I'm just going to backspace here and use the print function, which is somewhat like what the input function did when it displayed enter the number of square feet in the tract on the screen. It does, but print doesn't read anything, it just simply displays stuff we ask it to display. So this is a little bit fancier, but I'm going to have the print function print the conversion from square feet to acres on the screen. Okay? And okay, so let's see if grammatically this is correct. And to do that, again, we need to run the program and check the module. When I click check module, because I haven't saved the last change I made, it's going to prompt me to do that. I'm going to say, yeah, go ahead and save that change. And this information you're seeing here is from the previous run of our first iteration of the program. No error messages were displayed. They're usually in red. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this and see if it works. Again, I could press F5. It says enter the number of square feet in the tract, and I think I put 55,900 and I don't remember, say 990 or something. Okay, press enter, and then this time we get the conversion from square feet to acres. We see it on the screen. Okay. All right. A couple of other things I don't particularly like about this program. One is I have a misspelling right here. We can fix that. And also, you noticed when we prompted the user right here to enter the number of square feet in the tract, the first digit you entered, the first numeric value, the 5 in this case, was right up against the T in tract. That just doesn't look good, so maybe we should put a space after the T. Okay, so let's go back in here. Let's modify. Let's correct the spelling error. You know, that's one thing that the programming language interpreter won't do for you unless it's a keyword or something, but we'll get into that later. So I'm going to take the H out of enter, and let's put a space in right there. So there's a space after tract. And again, if I check the module, it's going to ask me to save it because I made changes. I need to save the changes. There were no error messages. Okay, so let's go ahead and run it a final time. And now look where the mouse cursor is blinking. There's a space between the T after the T, okay, and before the end of this line. So if I enter 55,990, this time there's a space there, so visually it's a little bit less irritating. So I'm going to press enter, and again, after pressing enter, this conversion goes on here, this division goes on, and we print or display on the screen a floating point or real number, a value with a decimal point, a fractional part, value, acres, and there it is. Okay, again, some of you may be a little bit feeling like, what the heck is he talking about? Because you haven't even read chapter 2 yet and won't for a week or so. That's not the point of this little tutorial. The point is to simply show you how in idle to create a file in Python with a .py extension, save the file, run the file, check the file to see if it's correct syntactically, if it obeys the grammatical rules of the language, and that kind of thing. Okay, I hope this tutorial was helpful to you.